Hello, everyone, and welcome to the seventh episode of the Orcocast, where we wage walk on some video games. Today, with me, my beautiful co-hosts, Lord Val Gaming,
Hello.
streamer extraordinaire on Mixer, and my moderator Bum Bum down below, moderator extraordinaire. Okay, gentlemen, we have a program today. We are going to talk about Maneater first, which is a neat little title that came out last week, I think, Friday,
I think so,
and it made some waves. Get it? It's yeah. I'm sorry, I heard you, Bum.
yeah.
So, Man Eater is a game where you play as a shark for a change of pace, and it's actually pretty damn good. I mean, it's the open worldiest game of the open world games, which why Bum wouldn't like it. But I'll get to that in a minute. So, the premise is basically you start out the tutorial as a shark, and then you get killed by some shark hunter. And the shark hunter literally cuts you out of the womb of your mother and throws you back into the ocean. So that is where the story begins. We have a narrator who is Chris Parnell from Saturday Night Live, I think, and he narrates your story. And actually, the best part about this game is the story and
How?
how. This is actually a really good thing to ask because it's actually funny. And not only that, it's also actually well written in some places because they really make the shark hunter, the big bad evil shark hunter, they make you hate him. You really hate this guy at some point. Not just at the start, but he's like a really bad person from the point of view you're taking in the game. So we have an action RPG where you play as a shark. You basically free roam around certain areas, go to pointers, do stuff, go to more pointers, do more stuff. The combat is interesting. The underwater combat not so much, but once humans get into the mix and you fight humans, it's getting interesting because you can like jump out of the water, snap them from boats, kill them, eat them, get more experience. No, it's really
It's brilliant.
it's absolutely brilliant. And what I like about it is it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's fairly short for a game of its magnitude,
Mhm.
and that's what makes it actually good because very long is not always very good. The game doesn't overstate its welcome, it doesn't overplay its hands or effect that it gets. Also, you get some really interesting mutations later on, like electric skin and electric teeth.
All right.
Yeah, which you can put into your shark for some reason. It's an open world game, they advertise it as an open world game. But I would rather say it's more still in stages. The issue is just that if you pull away the curtain, that you have actually a really good concept which hasn't been done to death by everyone. There's still just an open world game. This is the kind of game when Bam Bam says, I'm tired of open world games. This is really the kind of game. You have pointers, you go to pointers, you do stuff. It's fun stuff in some regards, but often it's just also collecting stuff. It's going to eat humans, then go there, eat more humans, then eat more humans. After that, you eat some more fish, and yeah, that's basically the game. So it can get even with the short playtime a little bit repetitive, but I still liked it a lot, and I had fun while playing it. And I think that is the most important part. If you have fun while playing something, it means it's a good game.
It sounds like someone had a good idea for a shark B movie and just was like, yeah, I'll make it
Yeah.
into a game instead.
You guys ever watch Sharknado?
Yes.
There's like 6 movies of it. Okay, so this is like Sharknado is freaking brilliant. You cannot deny that. They've done 6 movies already. Sharknado goes to the freaking where is it? Somewhere. They go to different planets and stuff. It's like it's crazy. It's like the same. It just reminded me. It's like, yo, this is Sharknado in a game. You would say, the game is stupid, but then it's like it's completely the opposite. The game is freaking brilliant. And what they do it well. I would
Yeah,
say
like
this is the Sharknado of the video games.
it feels like the writers saw the humor behind it, like
Yeah.
how ridiculous it is. So they were like, yeah, this could work, and just like slap electric upgrade on it because it makes sense somehow.
Yeah,
I just think that
and
the game is brilliant, and they know what they're doing, and they actually embrace it. It's absolutely awesome. I think the
Yeah,
game is brilliant.
yeah,
yeah, I think it speaks volumes that they have SNL, essentially presenter, as a narrator. That I think sets the tone really well for it.
yeah,
Mm.
the game doesn't take itself seriously at
Yeah.
all. You just have to. So if you start attacking humans and eat them, you get basically infamy points, and for every infamy point you get, there will be a hunter after you. And if you kill a hunter or one of those big hunters, you get like an upgrade. And but the thing is, the way the hunters are introduced is really funny sometimes. Like there's this real big lady as the second hunter, and the first thing she does, she grabs a trumpet instead of her shotgun. So, yeah, it's like the game really doesn't take itself seriously at all. Yet they still manage to make one of the most loathsome villains in recent memory.
I just
I
think it's
don't.
brilliant. I
Um,
just think it's just it's perfect. It's like they got everything. I don't know. It's just it's the Sharknado all over again. I love it.
yeah, yeah. So I would highly recommend everyone to play this game at least on sale because it's just. I know different is not always good, but it's just so funny and in parts even well written. And
Uh-huh.
the gameplay is also very solid that you just have to experience it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like all I have in my head now is Jaws on PS2. I think it's Jaws Unleashed. That game's not good, but it's brilliantly stupid. So I think what you're saying essentially is that taken to an 11 with Maneater, and I kind of like it.
Yeah, it exactly. It's just that, and it also has a good game underneath it. You get that out of it. Moving on. This is a Bam Bam. Your turn. You wanted to
Oh,
talk about something.
yeah, let's have a tonal whiplash. Let's talk about Song of Horror,
Don't
is,
move, Flash.
which is a indie horror game which was released in an episode by Protocol Games. It's a small studio in Madrid, Spain, and I really like the idea from when they pitched it back in 2019, and then they released the first episode on Halloween 2019, and last week they released the final episode. Combination of Lovecraft, Stephen King. It's essentially a love letter to horror writers and horror games. It's a combatless game to a degree. You still can fight the threats, but you don't get any sort of a way to fully get rid of them. You start in prologue as the main character. You go investigate a house of a writer who found a music box that essentially summons this. I think they call it presence, but they flip flop between the terms. They call it sometimes darkness, and it calls to this dark dimension from which this darkness comes, and it goes after you. Gameplay wise, it's similar to classic horror games, like because it plays from fixed camera angles, so it's like the original Silent Hill, Resident Evil 1, 2, 3,
Hmm.
that kind of aesthetic. But at the same time, also it has a lot of things from more recent games. The camera angles also pan, so it works like Code Veronica, and there is haunts, which are my favorite thing about the game. When you go throughout all the locations between the episodes, usually you're locked to a larger area. Say the first episode is a mansion, then it's as a matter, third one was a university, fourth one is an old abbey, and fifth one is a hospital. And it does things when you go through it. There's random haunts. Have you any of you played Silent Hill 4?
Yes.
No, I played the classic ones. Well, no, I didn't play the fourth.
In 4 there's Silent Hill 4 there's haunts when you go back to your apartment from the other world, and
Hmm.
random things can happen that are usually just random scares.
Okay.
And as the nature of the threat in Song of Horror is also random, there's random haunts. And some of them are, say, more overt, like the entire room goes dark and you hear either some giggling or
Mm-hmm.
some swooshing, like really nasty. But at the same time, you get different things like when you go and as the screen changes in the background, you catch a glimpse of something moving in a corner.
Okay.
So my favorite one was it's in the first episode towards the end when you go up a flight of stairs. Behind the camera turns to watch you from the front as you come towards the camera, and in the background you see a figure just rear back into a door as it closes. So that's really cool, like background scares that are not like just jump scares. And as these haunts happen, your character gets more stressed, and when they reach a limit, the darkness goes after you. And there's several versions of the darkness that come after you. There's one which you have to hide from, so you go say under a table into a closet, and it's not a passive as say Amnesia when you just have to go and hide and wait out. Here you have your quick time events, which are not overt and they're simple. Usually it's just like for the basic one, it's press both triggers in rhythm to steady your heart rate. There is silence, which comes later in the second and episode on, where you have to push triggers with a certain amount of strength, to match a circle to keep your breath down and not get discovered. And as you go through that, there's these threads, and the underlying gameplay is a combatless survival horror. So you collect your items, you do puzzles. The puzzles are great. It makes you feel smart, but it's not overt. Like it's not missed level of puzzles. They don't go crazy. But there's still like make you feel smarter because you get notes that give you hints, but they're not overt. I sent Orko a picture when I was working out a puzzle where I essentially had to make a table to know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I remember that. So, can I just go
Yeah.
in here for a second? In the fifth episode, we talked about the unveiling of the Microsoft games, and we talked also about a few horror games or studio making horror games. Blooper.
Yeah.
So if you compare Song of Horror to one of the Blooper games, leaps and bounds ahead in terms of gameplay.
Yes, because it's not passive. Like it never feels like you're just waiting for stuff to happen. Stuff happens when the world reacts to you and your progress, and also the threat is the threat is a threat. It's not just a jump scare that happens every once 20 minutes.
It could happen anytime.
Yeah, because it's random, and depending on the haunts, there's also the aspect of the permadeath, because there's multiple characters. There's one character which you cannot lose, and if you lose them, you have to restart the entire episode. But there is also secondary characters you can play as. Essentially, they're on the base difficulty. I would say those act more or less as extra lives. As I said, if you fail the QTs or you get too scared until the character collapses, you lose them, they die, and they will not appear in the subsequent episodes.
Okay.
You're making this sound interesting.
It's really good. And one of great things is you have to, between doors, and when you go to a door between rooms, you sometimes see an icon and you have to listen to what's behind the door. And if you hear something is off, you shouldn't open them, because if you open them, you die. And it's a bit funny, but I love it. The thing is, if there's nothing behind the door, it's just silent. But if there's something behind the door, it just sounds like there's pure evil on the other side of the door. Just hear this swooshing voices, like something banging on the door. And it's kind of silly, but I like it because it's tongue-in-cheek. To a degree, it feels like it's self-aware.
Do I assert this correctly that this threat, when you say it's random, like the attacks in Alien Isolation? Is it like that, in a sense?
Yeah. The thing here is, I would say, just because I haven't played a lot, I haven't played a lot. I've played like 7 hours of Isolation. It's not a full game. Kinda, because there's different forms of the darkness, and each has a different behavior. Like the main darkness, which I would say is the closest thing to the alien, is less sensitive to your sound. But if you make overt amounts of sound, it will come after you, and you'll have to find a hiding place.
Yeah, I mean, like just from the point of attacking, because they always said that in Alien Isolation, and it was the alien can appear at random.
Yeah, it can flicker and
Yeah.
randomly. And some
Okay.
of these versions of darkness are also incorporated into the haunts as well. Like some haunts have essentially the ability to summon this thing into your room if you interact with the haunt.
Nice.
Like there's a random haunt I found. I was in the university level, and I open a door. There's nothing. I go into a room, and then I go back into the main hall, and there's just a girl drawing circles on the floor.
Oh my god. No, no, I see that. Run away. Come on.
Yeah, see, and that's what I love about this game as well. It's like if you've ever watched a horror movie and you're like you're stupid, don't do that. If
Yeah.
if you do, if you do that here, you die as well.
Yeah.
So it's great. It's like a microcosm of the horror cliches and what not to do to survive.
And this game, Bam Bam, is it on PC only?
It's just now on PC. It just got a full release.
Okay.
But I think there was an announcement from the publisher Razer Games. They're going to release it on consoles in the future. I think it might be at the end of summer. I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay. And
Nice.
how much is the game right now?
It's 25 quid, so it's
I
like
would
$30.
say about 30 $35, something like that.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely worth it because it's replayable.
Mhm.
You can try to see how the story is different when there's more characters that have survived.
So
There's
like,
also, yeah.
in what was the PlayStation 4 exclusive called?
Oh,
Was it?
Until Dawn.
Yeah, exactly. Like in Until Dawn.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. There's. I think it's not a whole lot. It's a similar thing, but here some of the characters don't get carried over into the next episodes, but others do. So yeah, like I would say, it's a bit like that, but it's not a story that's fully focused on the side characters. You
Mhm.
can
Okay.
play as them and you can see the events from their perspective,
Mm-hmm.
but there is the main character, and he's the main character that if you lose, you will have to restart the entire episode.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But if you lose any of the other characters and they die, you can still go with either the main character or any other characters that haven't died yet.
Mhm.
You can go and get the stuff they had on them, pick it up and pick up where you left off.
Sounds really good. Sounds like a game I will not enjoy. I'm a chicken, but it sounds really interesting. I mean, if it actually comes out on console, I might give it a try as well. I like PC gaming, but I don't know. I'm kind of like always tend to playing on console. It just feels easier to me.
That's fine.
But yeah, it's one of those that I'm going to keep an eye because that would be fun to play when everyone is laughing at your face that you're making when
Oh boy.
you jumping scared every single time. Oh my god, man, that's gonna be yeah.
Man, the first time you opened the dev door, because it's like it's a loud sound and the character just gets pulled into the darkness. It's great. Like the first time it happened, I was just left there with my mouth agape. Like, did they really just do this?
Oh my god.
It's. I would definitely recommend Song of Horror. It's probably the best pure horror game I've played in years. While I say I'm more of a fan of, you know, Resident Evil and Silent Hill, more
Uh-huh.
like the classic style of horror games where it's not so much just focused on the atmosphere, but you also get to play a really tight game. Yeah, it got me. It's a really really cool, more of a adventure horror game with elements from survival horror.
Let me ask you a question, Bam Bam. Have you ever
Yeah.
played Coma?
Yes, I have it. Yeah.
Have
Coma.
you played
It's
it?
Yeah, I have played a bit. I think I played through the first chapter. It's the Korean side scroller, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
actually
yeah, yeah.
damn good.
Yeah, I'll have to get back to that because I think I played Lone Survivor just before that, and Lone Survivor felt so much better. So I'll probably just get to back to Coma now
Yeah, just do that. That's just a suggestion. So,
because I think they got a sequel recently, right? Or not recently, but a couple of weeks ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we say Song of Horror gets a thumbs up from our lovely Bum Bum over here.
Yeah, like
It's
if I had
like,
like all four of them.
yeah, I have it as well, so you might see it pop up in my stream.
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to play it. I probably
Oh.
do because actually for what Bang Bang is saying, I actually that got me quite interested in the game. And if it does come out on, I don't know, I might even pull it on PC and just play it. I think that would make for a fun stream to be like really, really, if it's like what Amang is saying is, anything can happen after every single goal, and you gotta be, I mean, that's gonna be really, really fun.
Yeah,
Very scary though,
yeah. It's.
and probably that night you won't sleep. I won't.
I think this is the
But
creepiest game. Like I haven't. I usually don't feel creeped out with horror games, but this one like had me just like, because the sound is such a big part of the game, and you have to listen to everything. It's, you can't play it like with anything going in the background. I usually, like when I play games, I usually have like podcasts going on in the background. Here I just have headphones on and just focused on the game, and you
oh
just
my,
hear in the abbey there is an apparition that sometimes appears in the background, and just like hear chains and then dragging sounds, and look to the back of the screen, and there's just this hulking guy dragging a corpse chained up along this floor. I
oh
was
my
like,
god,
yeah, that's cool. I think
oh
I'll
my
just
god,
move away.
bro, I'll die if I see that. I'm really looking forward to that game. I'm gonna pick it up 100%. I'm actually going to take on Bam Bam's word, and that actually piqued my interest, and I'll probably pick it up myself. Yeah, definitely.
Gentlemen, next topic is Destiny 2. I heard. So,
Destiny 2, yeah, we're back.
take it away.
Well, on Destiny 2, this week there's not much going on Destiny 2, other than Bungie not giving us not a single hint of what's going to happen on the new season. The new season, as you guys would know by now, it's actually in a week's time when we release this video. So it's going to be on, I believe, is 4th of June. It is 4th of June. No, actually, I'm lying. It is on the 9th of June. So we get the new season pass on the 9th of June. Not the season pass, the new season only. They've been pretty much quiet about everything, and that in on Bungie is a good sign usually. If they don't talk much about what's going on next, is because they don't want to spoil it for everyone else, and there is like pieces of the story coming. This season is kind of like, I don't know what if you guys haven't played much, but on Destiny there is always like a middle ground between like the time of the summer where there's nothing going on Destiny basically.
Hmm.
It's it's just before the big expansion, which is usually in September, October, and just after the the end, the tail end of the previous big expansion.
Hmm.
So it's just kind of like coming to an end, expansion, and then they give you a tiny bit of a story, and they kind of like dies off throughout the summer, and then picks up again on the next part of the story, where we start with the new expansion, whatever it's called, Shadow Key, Forsaken, whatever they want to call it, and that is usually September, October. So it's like July, June, July, August is pretty much dead. To be honest, we don't get many games throughout that time. It's the time where developers don't really. It's a very difficult time to release new games. So obviously, this is usually the time. It's the quietest one anyway. But around they've been pretty secretive, and they actually people that are up to date on Destiny. Luke Smith, and on one of the previous this week at Bungie, what we call the TWAP, they actually mentioned that it's going to be something big just before the expansion. You know what I mean? Like, I think they actually said they didn't say it with these words, but it's like you are not expecting what is coming. Basically, that's what they said. You're not expecting what's coming before the new big expansion. So that's why we're all thinking it's like they kept it super secret, because probably there's going to be something big coming in the story, something that is
Hmm.
going to change. And that's what I come back to what I said last week. I think they actually potentially could get rid of a whole planet just to do this season, to set up the new expansion. So
Yeah.
the darkness is actually, you can see on one of the Rasputin's bunkers, which is everything that is going on this season. This season, what we're doing this season is basically preparing for the attack of the darkness, because we already know the triangle, the Dorito ships are coming to our solar system. So what we're doing now is preparing for the attack, and what we're doing is using Rasputin as the first line of defense. So basically, Rasputin is like the biggest, AI in we as Guardians used to defend, our solar system. So basically, Rasputin is gonna be. We rely on him to be defending us. So he's got on his bunker. You can see there is a whole image where it's all written in Russian, obviously, Rasputin, and you got, that is the first Easter egg. That's when we first find out that the triangle, the Dorito ships are coming to our solar system, because there is like some lights that are starting to pop up, and they're like triangle lights, and then you can see all written in Russian. All the planets, all the the Titan, Io, Earth, everything, all written down on the left side. So kind of every single week, more triangle shapes are lighting up. So there is more triangle shapes, and they're kind of like, it's giving you week by week how close they're getting to our solar system. So this week we literally just 2 weeks away from them reaching one planet, which is Titan first, I believe. I think we're actually going to see the first arrival on Titan. We're going to see the first, our first contact with them, and probably, like I said, potentially Titan disappearing from the whole game, which I would really surely we would hope so, because that would change the entire story and the entire, everything that will set up the new expansion will be like, it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be.
Because isn't Titan the first planet you go to from Earth when you start Destiny 2?
Yeah, Titan is actually, if I'm honest with you, Titan is a beautiful. You guys know Bungie, kind of, for Halo times and all of that. Bungie, if one thing Bungie, I would say, does right, not just with the gameplay or anything like that, it's just the artists, they are absolutely brilliant. Every single planet on Destiny, every single, species, every single thing, the colors of, the palette, the colors, and the different planets, like, to me, it's visually stunning.
Yeah, no, I mean more in the sense that since it's a starter planet, if they get rid of it first, they will be also revamping the new player experience. With the new expansion. That's what I was more probably going at.
Yeah, but it's kind of like Titan is one of the first planets, but it's kind of irrelevant at some point. You kind of skip it, and it's not the biggest planet. I called Titan and Io disappearing. I hope Io doesn't disappear, because Io is the second biggest planet in size for the players. First is Earth, obviously, and then the second one is Io. Titan is kind of in the middle ground. Titan is kind of like small. Locksmith said he wants to, make it smaller for new players to feel more like, not overwhelmed by so many things, so many planets, blah blah. So they kind of, I think, Titan, that say, if we have to get rid of something, Titan is kind of like, it makes sense on the solar system, because Titan is like the furthest away from the ecosystem on Destiny, planet Earth. It kind of like all came together, and they're probably going to make the decision to just pull the trigger on that planet, and that's it, and get rid of it. After that, they said, the Dreadnought might appear again, so it's kind of like there is a lot of things going on, but this season setting up the rest of the story will be very interesting. And if they can pull it off right, and they can pull it off like giving us a hint of what's going to happen, a new activity, or get to see the new enemies, that will pick a lot of interest, and that will make it for a big opening in September, down the line, October, when the new expansion comes up. And I think they're actually very secretive about it, because they actually have something big, and they don't want to spoil it. Basically, this is a very, we all know the data mining. We actually spoke about, which I actually forgot to mention last week, because we were talking about the terms of service on Ubisoft and all of that. One of the things on the terms of service of Ubisoft is there's no more data mining on Ubisoft games. Do you guys know that?
So I haven't seen that.
They actually ban you if you data mine. I think that's actually a brilliant. I think that's actually a brilliant idea, because data mining, the only thing that does for you is spoil the game. If you're interested in the story in the game, every single time there is a data mine on one game, they spoil everything about the game, the story.
But but there's a simple solution. Don't preload your content into the game before it's out.
Can you avoid Twitter, Instagram, YouTube,
No,
Facebook, everyone?
no. I mean this. Like, don't be a dummy as a developer and have
Oh,
trickle
the assets.
trickle the assets into the game before the content's finished. If you
Yeah,
don't
but the
want it.
assets have to be in the game, whether you like it or not. The assets are
No,
going to be
no,
in the
no.
game.
You're
On
misunderstanding me. I
point.
mean, don't put the assets into the game for the content you don't want to be data mined before the content's ready to be shipped.
Yeah, and
That's how you
I
that's
understand
how
what
you
you mean.
define it. Yeah. So I
But
think it's a bit silly thing. Like, I think the developers are as guilty in this area as the data miners. I don't think there's like a
you
real.
as a developer, don't you put the assets first so you can test it?
Well, yeah, but you put it into a test client, not in the public client.
But in the public
Exactly.
client, you need to test it in the public as well, isn't it? With stress test the servers because they actually do
Yeah,
their
but
own testing on the public services, isn't it?
there's yeah, you can have PTS servers, public text servers,
Yeah,
but
but
at the
obviously,
same
if you don't
time,
have them, you will have to put them in the game so you can test
yeah,
it yourself.
but then that's a bit like that's a thing on the developer. I get it.
Hmm.
Like, I get why it's there, but at the same time, there's a simple workaround.
A person that is really into the story and the lore,
Mm.
and these games are heavily based on what's going to happen in the game, on the story
Mhm.
of the game.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, to me, feels like, that data mine. I do not appreciate data mining. It ends up spoiling something for you. Whether you like it or not, you are going to end up saying it somewhere, something somewhere. I would be happy just to see the trailer from Bungie, and this big guy is coming. He puts the sword down, blah blah, boom, everything is broke. As long as I see that, that's fine. But then you get the data miners. Oh, this conversation between this guy and that guy, so this is gonna happen. You know what I mean? That literally spoils everything for you. So let's hope we don't get much of the, because actually Destiny is big on data mining.
Yeah.
Like every single thing on Destiny comes up first on data mining. Every single thing. So that's how there is rumors about planets disappearing because the data mine happened. Obviously, Bungie is famous for shifting things around and just changing things. And maybe there is a data mining for something, and they actually go another route because probably down the road, closer to the release, they say, "I don't like this. Let's go this direction." Yeah, let's hope. To me, it's gonna be a setup for the new big expansion coming on September, October, and it's gonna be wonderful. I'm a bias on Destiny and Bungie. I'm sorry, guys, but I just love the game. Like I've spent so much of my personal own time, my life on this game, and it's giving me so much happiness and so much, sadness and everything. It's just I got love the game. So
Hey, that's okay. Passion is a good thing.
yeah, I'm not saying I don't bash it on any games. I think all games are brilliant, but to me, Destiny is my baby. It's my little baby.
Just to go back on one point, but that's just me saying it, and I'm someone who is actually very resistant when it comes to spoilers. I feel not very strongly about data mining or people just dropping spoilers. I know that other people feel very strongly about it. I get why. I just say it's even shown in studies that some minor spoilers can even heighten your excitement for what's to come. So maybe not all spoilers are bad.
Yeah. Plus, the thing is, if the spoiler ruined the game for you, maybe the story itself wasn't all that great. That's my opinion as well.
Yeah, I
Could be a
mean, not
point.
data mining doesn't only spoil,
I mean,
like a
if
story
you
or something like that, but
flat
they,
out drop everything, that's
mm.
just rude.
Yeah.
But they usually on Destiny, what you would see, it's usually not just data mining for like weapons, spoils the whole thing for you because they already say, oh, this weapon is already on the, it's data mined already, and it's like, oh my god, you're telling me already? I mean, you know, because before on Destiny 1, I don't know if you guys came across this secret quest that appeared one day out of the blue, just for no
No, I have.
reason. There was on a daily quest that was the Black Spindle quest. Okay, so I will never forget the quest. I will never forget the name of the weapon. And the actual weapon is actually on Destiny 2 now, and it's not called Black Spindle. I can't even remember, because your brain will remember something that it's something for you that is impactful for you, isn't it? The weapon now, it's got a different name. You just acquire it for a normal quest. I can't even remember the name of the quest of the weapon now, but I remember Black Spindle. That weapon appeared. It's an exotic sniper, which appeared one day out of the blue, because there wasn't any data mining at that time on Destiny. It was very early on Destiny and Destiny 1. Not early on, but on year 2 on Destiny 1, there was still no data mining on the game. There was data mining, but maybe it was very minimal and not very, publicly set to everyone. So what happened on there was a daily quest every single day, which you end up not doing them again because they become a bit irrelevant on the end game. But one day, out of the blue, someone discovered that on a daily quest, there was a door open. Then when you were kind of running back from the darkness, there was a door open, and you cross that door, and there is a whole new activity, which was timed, and you had to fight the Skoras at the end. And if you beat him, you will get this Black Spindle, which is an amazing sniper rifle. I mean, it might not be the best in the whole game, but it was something that was coming out of nowhere, and no one knew about it, and it just appeared one day.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It just spoils the fun for the community to find this stuff out for themselves.
Exactly. You see one day on Reddit, and you see on YouTube, oh, yo, this is the new mission, this appeared, blah, blah, just go ahead and do it. And there was their weapon, and no one knew about it. Now, you know every single weapon that is coming out, because it's literally everywhere. It's like, I try to avoid it myself. I can't, because it just happens. I happen to say it somewhere every single time. It's either Twitter, or it's either Instagram, or it's either on YouTube. I happen to say it every single time. Weapons, a story, dialogues, everything about it. So, if you can stay away from all of that, you will be going completely, blank into the new season. And if something happens, you will say on the day. But that's the only thing that I do not like about, what they're doing with the data mining. If they kind of, I think that's the whole reason why, we come back to what I said before. That's the whole reason why Bungie is completely silent 1 week away from the new season.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, data mining is going to be always there. So the developers just have to come up with ways to avoid it. Like, even as you said, if Ubisoft's gonna ban it, there's it's not gonna stop data mining anyway.
There is always someone who crashes the party.
Yeah, there's always.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, it's like they rely heavily on the lore and the story and everything. So
Yeah.
It's a big thing. Like, honestly, no joke. It's a really big thing. What's coming to Destiny, in my opinion, and it's something we've been waiting for 7 years now. And for a long, Destiny Alpha player, it's something I do not appreciate, because I want to really, really get surprised by the trailer from Destiny that releases in July, and see who are we going to be fighting, who are we going to be facing, or maybe in a week's time when the new season appears and they're going to present you, this is the big guy. You're not gonna see him yet, but he's here already. That is what gets you excited. Like, don't tell me I'm wrong, guys. Like, it gets you excited seeing what's the next step, who's the big guy, who you're gonna be fighting. This is the next big guy. This is the one you gotta go for. This is the guy's head. You wanna go grab his and put it as a helmet and just go fighting more people.
Why would I ever tell you you're wrong?
Huh?
You just said, "Don't tell me I'm wrong." Why would I ever tell that? Say that.
But you know exactly what I mean. You want to kill him and you grab, put it as a helmet and go fight more people.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's obviously what data mining happens, and that's why I think Bungie's being completely silent. Like, literally, you do not see Bungie coming up with anything like beforehand. They kind of like keep it a secret after 3 days, 4 days until the release. Boom, there you go. Because otherwise, everyone will know everything in advance. So, yeah, let's hope. Fingers crossed for a cool new thing to do in Destiny during the summer. Otherwise, it's gonna be a very, very, very voting some on Destiny.
That
Let's
could
hope for some content, actually.
Yeah.
hashtag content. Okay. So on to the last topic. We had I know which video you inspired you to do that. Of the one YouTuber we both watch. There is an issue on the mobile game market, and it's called asset stealing, and even flat out idea stealing or stealing entire games.
Yeah, stealing a game wholesale just happened.
Yeah. So, Bam Bam, take it away.
Yep. So I bet you guys heard from last week that Ubisoft just dropped the lawsuit against Apple and Android about the Area F2, the Chinese Rainbow Six Siege knockoff.
Yes.
Yeah, because it was a game that essentially on the phone wholesale stole the entire gameplay, the characters, the skins, the weapons, everything, and just put it on a mobile as a crappy port. And they first appealed to Alibaba, which is a Chinese retailer who owns the Area F2 game.
Mm-hmm.
And since they're Chinese, they, China don't care. So they went to Apple and Google, who are American companies, and it's gonna be for them. It was gonna be easier to do, right? So they sued Apple and Google on the basis of their promoting a product that essentially is a theft. And then Aria F2 was taken down, including everything, the website, everything, and they dropped the lawsuit against Google and Apple. And I think it is just the tip of the iceberg, because I don't know how much time either of you spent, like, even playing games on your phones in the past.
A lot of time.
Yeah, like I played some games as well. I mostly most games I have on my phone are just ports of the Rockstar games, like GTA 3, Vice City, whatever. But when you look also at the other games, a lot of them either use material to market themselves that's a flat out lie. There's games, I always forget the names of these games, but there's games that use trailers or pre-rendered footage from big titles. Like there was a game, I think it was something about dragons, and it used a Monster Hunter World trailer as its promotional material, leaving in the title, and I think there was one with a Capcom logo in it as well.
Oh wow.
Then you have games promoting themselves with fan art from other games. There's I think it was some gacha game that was promoting itself with fan art from people that did fan art for Nier Automata.
What?
Just to be
with fan art. So they don't
Yes.
even steal the stuff from the companies who can actually do something about it. No, they are going to steal it from the fans who pour their heart and soul into their fan art just to get noticed a little bit on the internet, and they steal that. Oh my god.
There was one that was like this, because of a specific example I gave where where they stole the fan art for Nier Automata. It's those crappy, level 5, level 35, level 99 character ads, if you've ever seen those. One is a fan art of 2B from Nier. Second is almost like a not safe for work art of 2B. And the third one is the cover for the concerto album for Nier Automata, for the live recording of the music.
What?
It was, yeah, it's like the mobile market is wild, and that's not us even talking about the business models for a lot of them.
Wow. Wow. That's
Like,
what I have to say.
It's Wild West.
Yeah, I just was about to say that's the Wild West of the gaming world right now.
And nobody's doing anything about it. Google's not responding, Apple's the same way, and also to get any sort of clearance and action done against these games, it's hard because a lot of them are Chinese.
China will
It doesn't
always
care about any intellectual laws.
Actually talking about it, excuse me. Orco, now we're actually talking about it. Is now that you actually mention it, is this the whole reason why a lot of developers are starting to split the efforts on to try to make mobile games as well? So they cannot be, they cannot be like kill assets, like like these kind of things happen. So they're actually the ones who create them, and they're actually the ones who can take.
I think the problem is a different one. Most of those asset stealing games are coming from China because the China is a government that will always protect their home companies against foreign companies. Dragging a Chinese company through their own court and getting a win as a foreign company is basically impossible.
Yeah, that's
That's
why
the big
Ubi
issue.
went. Sorry, that's why Ubi went after Google and Apple, because they had the storefronts where these games are sold. They essentially put pressure on the point where they could apply pressure, and they knew something would be happening. If they, couldn't get a sway in China, so they had to go through Western courts a roundabout way. They got their win, but it also illustrates the problem with this market.
And I think even if Western developers branch out and do more mobile games, they will still get their assets stolen. Honestly think, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I honestly think they make it the people who steal their assets even easier by having them already ported to the mobile market.
Yeah, but it's not the same you making money out of it than being stolen and not even getting absolutely nothing. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say, because I see, you see kind of like more of these big companies tapping into the mobile market as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think that this could be the actual reason for
it
it,
it could
because
be okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
if you make that point, yes, that could be actually a reason. So they see, okay, we get our assets stolen. Let's just get ahead of it and put our own stuff in there so we don't
actually
lose
make
completely
money out of it,
out.
isn't it?
Yeah, that could be the case. I can see that.
I mean,
yeah,
that's why I think there's more and more these developers actually porting games onto mobile as well, and trying to at least try to make a tiny bit of money before someone comes and trying to
Yeah, I
take
mean,
all your work and use it for themselves.
we have the entire Diablo mobile debacle still was last year just. Even Blizzard paired up with a company to be known not stealing assets but massively flipping assets. That's another issue.
yeah. There's a
NetEase
yeah,
is known to just take assets of other game they already created and just reusing them.
yeah. I think also where they're going into mobile is to combat the not to combat this, but the idea is if you get on the market and mobile games are big in China and other Asian countries, so if they're essentially the first of that kind on the mobile market, they will sell big in those markets as well.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So it's a way to make a headway, be the first one, and if like any copycats come afterwards, they're not going to be as prominent because you're already in that market.
yeah, that's another thing. Because unlike us here in the West, the Asian countries prefer to play on their phone for some reason. I
Yeah,
mean, we do too. We also play on our phone, but I don't prefer it over my PC or consoles.
Yeah. I think it's a bit of a cultural thing as well. I don't know. They kind of like the more handheld. Nintendo is quite big there,
yeah,
so their market is completely different from the rest of the world. To be honest, because the whole market in Asia is just, I think it's just a simple cultural thing. Also, they have like don't they have like a schools now for like esports and everything?
Yeah, yeah, they
that's
have that.
something that's Korea.
So
Yeah,
yeah, I think they actually embrace the gaming thing, and it's like you know
yeah.
I
There's
think that's
like
actually, I think in some way they're actually a step ahead of us on gaming ways, like everything related about gaming.
yeah, but the
They
thing is
always,
like
yeah,
Asia is such a broad like term because you
hmm
have China, Korea, and Japan,
yeah,
the biggest markets in Asia. And Japan's big on handheld gaming, but they're not so big on the mobile market.
yeah.
they have their Nintendos, right? They have 3DSs, they had PSPs when that was a thing,
Mhm.
and like for them, even now, like mobile gaming still is a big thing, but that market is more into like essentially console level games. Then you have Korea, which is more PC based because of the history with StarCraft, Counter Strike, right?
Yeah.
But China is straight up mobile gaming country, and
And
that's the thing. That's like that's the main crux of the problem there.
Also, the population has to come into account.
yeah, I would
Yeah,
just
yeah.
wanted to say.
China, there you go. That you probably beating half of Europe just by themselves, but
Yeah. Plus the
uh,
buying power of like is
the
obviously
population. Yeah.
lower per average in China than
Hmm.
other Asian countries as well, which plays a role as well. That's why a lot of these mobile games are usually free to play, but you
Yeah.
get either ads or you have energy or you're somehow limited, and that's how they get the money from these people.
I actually came up to this. That was actually a Bungie when Bungie team, because I don't know if you guys know, but Bungie got half a million, basically got paid half a million dollars by a Asian company, which I can't remember which one is it. And that's why we all know that Bungie is working on something new and a new IP, which is it's influenced by this Asian company that has invested half a million onto Bungie. That happened just as Bungie was splitting up with Activision.
It wasn't Tencent, right?
It's Tencent. It's probably Tencent. It's always
Yeah,
Tencent.
they're the biggest one. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember the name. That doesn't ring a bell though. But yeah, I'll do some research. Probably let you guys know for next week. But
Mm.
yeah, they actually got half a million investment from this company, Asian company, to make a
Oh,
new. It's
it's
a
net.
new IP, something new.
It's a NetEase. It was 100 million investment.
It's a half a million, I believe.
I'm reading it's The Verge from 2018. Bungie gets 100 million investment from Chinese gaming company NetEase.
Yeah, I mean they got that investment, and they actually Bungie has actually registered a new trademark, which I can't really recall the name of the trademark right now, but it's basically what we all know is it's probably going to be a new IP, probably a mobile version, game. You see that's exactly what what I was mentioning before. It's just these new big companies trying to tap into the mobile game because of the obviously the amount of people you can reach. And also I read when I was when they were talking about all of these about the Asian company investing, it is they actually when Destiny came out as the new light Asian version, you can actually pay to get higher power stuff, higher power weapons and higher power gear,
Yeah, that's
which
common.
seemed crazy to us, but it seems like in the Asian market, that's a normal thing to do. And
Yes.
that seems normal. So you pay to actually get higher stuff. Crazy to me.
Yeah,
No,
that
it's
was common when there was those free-to-play FPS games like Combat Arms, which was I think a Korean one, and there you had your basic gun, and then you could get randomly drop either a new gun or you could buy a new gun, but those guns weren't yours forever. They were usually like quote unquote rentals. You had them for either like a couple of hours gameplay or they were like on your account for 7 days and then they disappeared.
reminds me of
That was the thing.
Blacklight Retribution.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was a thing as well. I
That
think they
was
changed it.
that was one of
actually,
the
yeah.
worst offenders in that regard I've ever played. And you cannot forget that even in MMOs, which come from Korea, they are toned down here quite significantly when it comes to buying items at some point.
Yep.
Because it is actually a thing in MMOs in Korea that you buy your gear with real world money.
Yeah.
You can just straight up buy it there.
Yeah, it's here. It's like a more of like a black market, but yeah, in Korea it's a
Yeah.
thing.
Okay. Yeah, the new IP from Bungie is called Matter. They already released like the actual logo, how it looks like. It's like a splash
Mhm.
of paint, and it says Matter on top of it. So this is the 100 million that you actually said. Million from Net is from the Asia company. So some people are saying that this is gonna be another game. There's gonna be another mobile game, but we never know. It says that it's going to be released by 2025.
Oh, that's a long-term investment.
Exactly.
That must be hell of a like. I think they're probably trying to get a couple of concepts out and see which one's going to work the best, because they probably will want to make a big splash on the market.
Yeah.
It's a Chinese tech company, so they want to probably have like a big product that will rake in insane amounts of money.
Yeah, I mean, no one knows. I mean, we're not. I'm not saying it is a mobile game. What people are speculating with is gonna be a mobile game because of the origin of the company. You know, it's an Asian company, so they tend to focus on the the market of the mobile version. So, like you said, it's a very long time. Even though for a mobile game, do you think that mobile game would take that long? Because that investment was in 2018. Remember, so this IP is gonna be in the build for about no, they started on 2019. It says here, so 6 years to make a mobile game. That seems a bit excessive, in my opinion.
It might be also about building infrastructure, given what the game's gonna be, because if it's gonna be, say, a mobile shooter, then you're gonna need an infrastructure for it. Means you're gonna need servers in major locations of China where people can play without a huge amount of lag. You're gonna need infrastructure as well for it if you're gonna hold the data of the players, and if you're gonna involve monetization, meaning you need also probably deals with either bank houses or money houses in China.
And the other thing I can imagine is also just sheer logistics and paperwork.
Yeah.
Imagine an American company like Bungie going to China.
Yeah, the amount of like stuff
Yeah.
that you have to sign to not, and also it's gonna be a matter of localization, because there is things you just can't have in a game that will be sold in China.
Yeah, you cannot have undead, for example.
Yeah,
That's gonna be banned outright.
Yeah, so that thing is a problem as well, and it's gonna play in that development time as well. The localization, where they're gonna have to think about what can and can't be in the game when it comes to the content
and concepts.
Yeah.
So I think it makes 6 years time doesn't sound too long to me if you take all these factors into account. Also, they might maybe shoot for a little bit more than current hardware can handle, so they might aim for, if they look at the trajectory how phones are developing over the next years, they might shoot for a mid-end phone or a mid-end phone in 2024.
Yeah.
That it can play those games.
Yeah, you need also like a player base, so you can't have your game like run just on the top of the line phones.
Yeah, true, but they might still shoot for phones that are still in development in that kind of regard. So
Yeah.
whatever they do, I think there is sense to the timeline they have. I'm actually interested in seeing what Bungie can turn out.
I don't know, to be honest, everything. I wasn't big on Halo, but I mean, Halo is being massive. But every single Bungie seems to be one of those companies that everything they do comes magic. They they came with Halo, changed completely the way we played FPS. It changed completely, from what we got used to. We were used to the Call of Duty era. That was, everything was dominated by Call of Duty, and other than not Call of Duty wasn't really big. They kind of came up with that. They got it right. Everyone loved it, and the whole Halo now is still going, even though they not even, but they created the whole thing, and then they move on to Destiny, and they changed completely. That was very ambitious from them, let me tell you, because an constantly evolving world like World of Warcraft, and then FPS like Halo, and the jumping and the abilities and the stats and the gear and the weapons and the attachments, and obviously they came up with it. Obviously at the start they didn't get it right, but they still stuck with it, and they kept going, and they kept improving the game, and the game is where it is right now, where I think it's a very, very in-depth game, where obviously for new players it's gonna be crazy difficult. If they come up with another IP like Mata, like I would expect them to be killing it as well, doing something. They got really creative people. I mean, Bungie developers are actually, they're under the wings of, Phil. Phil is always, you guys send it, Phil on Twitter, they're always sending them like love all the time, man. Phil Spencer loves them.
Yeah.
And we don't, Phil Spencer is like the big, we actually spoke about it, because he's like he's changed the shape, the shape of Xbox around. He's turning around, and he's like, making great progress towards the
Maybe he
actual console.
maybe he wants them back.
I mean, there is trying to like he's kind of grooming them, trying to get them back into the Microsoft wing. But I don't think they actually want any of that at the moment. Bungie is now at the point where they're saying, we can do this ourselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Uh,
I
Here, I
think.
think
make our own money.
like the thing is gonna be here how much sway the investment company has in the product as well. That's
I
gonna
mean, it's
play a
like
big role.
Gearbox. I actually admire Gearbox, even though there might be some problems with the guy, which I'm not gonna
Mr.
name anyway. But the head of the company might have a few problems here and there, blah blah. But
A
at the end of the day,
few.
Gearbox is an excellent, wonderful company.
I
And
mean,
self-published.
I can agree that no, they are published by 2K sometimes. Always self-published.
Yeah, but a couple of games, isn't it? Only, and then most of the
Yeah.
main Borderlands games are self-published, isn't it?
No, I think
No,
all of
they're
them are
2K.
2K.
They're 2K. All of them. Gearbox does some good stuff, some not so good stuff. It's a company, I think. No, but they had some good games regarding whatever does
Mm.
in his free time and what shenanigans he's up to. The
Yeah.
only thing he should never forget is that he lied about aliens, colonial marines. And he should always
Oh,
remind
yeah.
me of that.
Yeah, it's just he is lawsuing everyone, so I don't want to name him. So
Oh, he's
yeah,
lawsuing people.
yeah. He
Yeah.
just goes around like crazy. But I mean, he's another guy. I mean, he's created the whole company by himself, so he can
Okay.
say
I'm gonna
whatever he
black
wants.
that last part I said out. I blur his name. I promise.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to name him. Just
Okay.
try to avoid him. He's like the company is really good. I think that the whole Borderlands series is wonderful. They embrace the goofiness of the entire series in them and everything. Borderlands 3, I think, is just the tip of the iceberg on the game. It's just sad that the game doesn't stick a lot longer after all the work, after all the years that these people are spending onto this game. So back to where we were. Hopefully, Bungie's gonna be another company that's investing on the mobile version of the games, and in Asia seems to be okay to be paying to get pay to win. Isn't it what we call
Yeah,
Yeah.
quote
pay to win,
unquote
yeah.
pay to win?
Yeah,
So
because it's a different mentality altogether.
yeah,
If
yeah,
you can
totally.
do that with money, it's perfectly a-okay to do it.
Mhm.
It's not okay here.
Yeah, we actually hate that. It's like no,
Yeah, exactly.
you'll get destroyed as a company if you do that in Europe. That's why, because the whole thing talk about, because it's like when Bungie actually did that, when New Light, the free version of Destiny came out in Asia, because that was going to come out everywhere in the world. So, it's going to be
Mhm.
a worldwide thing. And then everyone was like, wow, 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 what? Now Destiny is going to have a pay to win version of the game? Everyone went nuts about it. And they actually had to come out saying, yo, this is the Asian version. That's different. Their version is their version. The Eastern version, the Western version is two completely different versions of. And actually, the New Light in Asia is a different version. Not just a different version, but they have like this pay to win every versus store kind of like heavily focused on that version of the game, which is crazy to me. But our version is still. They always trying. They come up saying this actual on this week at Bungie, which was a couple of days ago on Thursday. They actually came up saying they want to find more ways to avoid people purchasing stuff on the Eververse and try to give you more things in game. You know what I mean? Because people keep complaining about it.
Because I remember, like, even when I was playing, I didn't. I think I used Eververse once because I had some left over. Was it silver?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had some leftover silver because you can gain silver in game from some quests. So I had some leftover, so I just bought a skin and that was it. Otherwise, all the exotics I unlocked just went through the game, and I think you get like weekly drops of exotic bundle, or you can get like an exotic bundle from a quest.
It's all cosmetic. Everything you
Yeah,
can get is cosmetic. I
yeah,
don't say as bad in games completely. Like honestly, like Fortnite, like Paladins or any other game. I think at the end of the day, the people that create the game need to get paid as well. So as long as it's not predatory, and I understand that the loot box system from EA, which is out of this world. This is pure gambling in my eyes. You choose what you want to get and you pay for it.
I
I think
mean, like,
that's a good method. Whatever the price is, if
yeah,
you're willing to pay, to you are the owner of your own money and your own decisions. So to you, if that's a fair price, by all means, in my eyes, go for it. If I don't like it, I'm not gonna judge you for that. So as long as you can choose what you get. Let's
yeah,
say I want this skin, I want the Star Wars skin from Fortnite, blah blah blah. You pay for it, that's fine to me. You are actually supporting a company that is giving you a game that you're probably going to spend 500 hours on for free, not
yeah.
a single penny for it.
See, that's
Yeah.
that's what I like in Warframe, because they have a premium currency as well. It's platinum, but the thing is, you can earn platinum in game. You can sell parts
Mhm.
to things, because the way you get new weapons, new Warframes, which is like your class, and other stuff in game, is you build it through parts that you get as a drop, or you open a relic, which is a thing that has like a which is each has like a set things you can get in it,
Mhm.
and it's a random drop. And you can sell these parts to other players for platinum, so you don't have to pay essentially any money, and you can still get the premium stuff. Just because you spend like once every 2 weeks, I sit down, play for an hour, open relics, and then sell them on the market to other players, and then I can buy boosters. I can buy stuff like that make my experience easier, and that way I can even, like, sometimes I can earn even more platinum quicker just because I have those boosters,
So
and I
that's
like it.
basically what's going on the mobile version of the games, isn't it? The free
No, no,
mobile version of the games.
no, that's Warframe. That's not
No,
not a.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I know the system on Warframe, but they because we were talking about the mobile, market and all that. This is what most of the mobile free-to-play games do, isn't it? It will
yeah,
take you a lot longer to
yeah,
get the high level, but you can do it for free.
yeah,
You don't have to pay a single penny for it.
yeah. That's the thing a lot of the gacha games. Like, there's the big one, Arknights, right?
Hmm.
Like, it's a gacha game. You can play, and like every day for like maybe 20 minutes before your energy runs out, or you can spend like $50 and get a hat,
Yeah.
which is ridiculous.
But to be honest, uh, honestly, like I just said before, you can get the whole enjoyment of the game, even if it's a slower or not a single penny. And
Yeah, but the thing is, those mobile games are made not to be fun without spending the money.
I
A
mean,
lot of those
yeah,
gacha games, like, especially because that's a big market, and
mhm.
like every big brand name has their own. There's like ones for anime, you have movie based, you have one that's like Final Fantasy 15. There's one for Game of Thrones,
I used to
and there's a
play.
Marvel one. Yeah,
I used to play DC Heroes, I think it's the name, just for a little bit because I'm a superhero fan. And at the beginning, you had always enough energy to do your runs, but as soon as you got onto a higher level, and suddenly your energy started to run out pretty quickly. And if you
yeah,
played 2 rounds of a game that played basically itself, there was not much more to it, and I just deinstalled it
yeah.
because
Yeah.
I don't want that from a game.
Yeah, same thing with there was a Star Wars one. You opened packs with cards, and the cards had characters that would do auto battle, much in the same way. It was like, oh, I got Yoda, but then you realize the card Yoda has like 5 stars on top of it, and you realize that you have to or pay to get like a decent version of the character, and then you're like, and then like at that point I'm like,
Yeah, I mean, it could go on and on with that, but yeah, mobile games is what it is. Like you guys said before, it's a free market. It's the wild west right now
Yeah, it's the Wild West.
yeah,
of gaming.
I
Or yeah, like games like like I said before, many people will hate it. That's fine, but games like Fortnite have an excellent monetary system. You got your skins. You want to pay for them, just go ahead. If you don't want to pay for them, don't pay for them. You can
yeah,
still play over 1,000 hours in the game without having to spend a single penny, and you
yes.
will not feel inferior to absolutely no one. They still have the skins which you can get for free, or the season pass and blah blah. You got like a bunch of like free events, like the event they did with the singer, the whole
Or
concert.
Marshmallow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they can do a bunch of stuff and you can get stuff for free over there. So these kind of games which you can decide to invest money or not, even
Yeah.
though mobile version or no mobile version,
Yeah.
you get games that you get a lot of enjoyment for not a single penny. I think it is a good practice to, if they give you a solid monetary way of paying for something, if they don't give you loot boxes like Overwatch, or they don't give you like the infamous loot packs on FIFA or Madden,
Yeah.
which I think that's predatory and that's wrong and gambling in my
Yeah.
eyes. You don't know what you're gonna get and you just spend and spend and spend and spend. So that's gambling.
Yeah.
Newsflash. That's what people do in gambling.
I mean, we all basically. I mean, I just say all. I don't know really Bum Bum, but I think he also agrees to that. I think we all have no issues in here if you actually can just buy what you see, as
Yeah.
long as it doesn't infringe on the gameplay. So
Yeah.
that's perfectly fine if the game is actually free at launch. This is what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
This
Like
is a
for me,
caveat.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's like there is a mobile game and then there is a mobile game. Like Fortnite was made to be just a game on your phone that you can play when you're away from your console or your PC and still have that experience by a studio that knows that they can thrive just on the cosmetics. Then you have the more predatory side of the mobile market, which a lot of people will just pass on the game once they see how the game essentially works. That okay, I can play for say 5 minutes and then that app's dead for the next 24 hours, right?
Mm.
But there are also people that are taken in by this predatory monetization system and just spend insane amounts of money.
Mhm.
And it's much the same way as the FIFA or Madden one, right? Where you pay for a random bag of champions,
Yeah.
and then you get maybe one like that's even like half decent, below
one
average at best.
one after 5 packs or 10
Yeah.
packs, man. Like, I've done it myself. I have spent money on it, but when I've been playing FIFA, when the whole system came out first, that was really cool, to be honest. It was like kind of like, you feel like,
Yeah.
oh, am I going to get Messi? Am I going to get Ronaldo? It's always, you want to
Yeah.
get those big guys, and I mean, obviously, if you have a bit of common sense, and
Yeah.
obviously, this is actually targeted to the younger audience as well, because
Yeah.
they are the ones who recognize this the least, probably because us as adults, our conscience kind of like kicks in at some point, most of us. But at some point, you realize it's like, wow, wait a second, I just spent another 20 quid on top of the 60 I've paid already for. Then you say, oh wow, I'm actually just throwing money at these people for no reason at all, and they're not giving me anything in exchange. So
The worst thing was that essentially in FIFA and other games, you essentially had to buy them if you wanted to be competitive in the multiplayer. Yeah.
in FIFA and Madden, you can still play without it. It's a full blown price for a yearly game that is not finished every
Yeah.
year. We can go on and on about Madden, FIFA, and all of that.
Yeah.
Even though they do their improvements and everything, I don't want to batch on EA or anything like that. The game is the game. You like football, you like FIFA. Go ahead, get the game, and spend your money on. Like I said before, it's your money. It's your decision. You decide what to spend it on. I'm not gonna tell you what to do. But in my eyes, in my opinion, I realized that I was throwing money at something that wasn't worth it in the end, because
Mhm.
the thing with the FIFA Ultimate Team and the Ultimate Team of Madden is that if you decide to go for the route of not spending money, what's gonna happen is you're gonna spend whatever one person is gonna spend on, like, let's say you spend 5 minutes opening packs, okay?
Mhm.
This is your time during the next 3 months. Okay, that's basically the same thing. You decide to spend 5 minutes, or you decide to spend 3 months
No. Yeah.
to get to the same point.
Okay.
Like, players and buying players, selling players, blah blah.
Yeah.
Oh
Obviously, that comes
God.
into there is many factors to come to it. If you're really good, instead of 3 months, you're probably going to get it in 1 month. I'm really bad, so it would take me 5 months. But you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's basically it's your time. How much? It's
Oh, it's
basically
a shortcut.
they play with your brain because it's like how much do you value your time? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are you willing to spend 20 quid on this pack, or are you willing to spend a month playing it? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and that's I think that's predatory to the nth degree because EA shows what they really value. They don't value as a player or your time as a player. They just value your
Exactly.
pockets and how deep they are.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like I'm one of those people that doesn't mind to buy like in Warframe. Like as I said, I buy boosters when I like feel like it. But at the same time, it's just because I value my time more than say the pound 50 I'd spend on a booster,
Yeah,
right?
but the boosters in Warframe are like dirt cheap.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's dirt cheap, and they
Yeah,
and it like stays with you for like
a
3 days, and it lets
a
you.
reasonable amount of time. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true. So I mean, everyone has their own pain points. Everyone has their own threshold when they're gonna shell out money. That's
yeah,
just how it is. And I myself bought something like that. I mean, I bought the Champions pack on Paladins when it was on sale, so I don't have to unlock every champion. I just
yeah.
didn't want to do that. It was 10 euros when it was on sale. I think it was a reasonable price. I got every champion out of the gate and I was done with it and could try everyone because it was just so much fun.
So, sorry, it's a way also to support the developers. If you enjoy
Yeah.
the game, why not?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I personally, like I said, do also stuff like that. Everyone does it. It's just that you, as a gamer, have to make sure you spend your money wisely. And that's the important part. Wisely means you can afford it, you want to afford it, and you are not in a trap of, I have to spend it. You have to be in the mindset of, I want to spend it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's a way to approach it, especially from the developer side. You don't want, like, yeah, like there's predatory companies that will make it like that. But if you want to make a system where you want to support your game, as it goes on, but the thing is, yes, you can do it, but you don't also want to break the bank of your player base. If your player base can't afford or doesn't feel like it's worth it to buy whatever you're offering, aside from the game, there's something wrong, and you have to reevaluate it.
We have to thank the whole of the loot boxes to Mr. Andrew Wilson, CEO of EA. He
Yes.
is he is the creator of the infamous loot boxes, and this is where it all comes from.
I don't
He's the
think he
one.
was the first one. I think he was just the most profile proponent of them
Yeah,
because,
he
like,
was the one that kind of like introduced it for the first time in
yeah,
AAA games.
to AAA games because they've been a thing in for ages. I'm just gonna like come clear. I played Magic the Gathering for years, so I was like, I'm okay with loot boxes in that way because there's also the option to buy singles.
If the game gives you the option to whatever you want to choose, you choose what you get it, and you pay for it.
Yeah,
That's it. You
Yeah.
decide what's worth for you,
yeah,
money and your time and whatever you want to spend it on. That's a good system in my opinion because you just can say, I want to get this skin, I get it, I pay for it. I think the price is fair, or if you don't think the price is fair, you're not gonna pay for it. So it's as simple. No one forces you to pay. So that's at the end of the day, that's your you get this and you pay for it, and that's it. You supporting the
yeah,
company that way. You decide, you play so much of this game, you say, oh, to me this is worth that money. Go ahead, because that's not a predatory system in my opinion. If they give you one skin that is like 20 quid and it's like, wow, it's just crazy, and
Yeah.
there's a million ways you can say it, but you can say, if you don't want it, just don't pay for it. Sadly, that's what it is. But
yeah.
it's a mobile game, which I'm not gonna spend the entire day playing mobile. I can spend 5 hours on my console. I cannot spend 5 hours on my mobile because my mobile will shut down anyway because it will run out of battery anyway. So it's different, multiple ways you can see. all of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, there's definite ways you could take it, but yeah, like I think the mobile games also bag on that you don't play them all that often, but at the same time, some of them try to get you play them as often as possible.
Mhm.
And that's where the monetization incentives come in. But yeah, I think like this is a topic that's way deep.
That goes on forever.
Yeah.
I should suggest that we can continue this at another point, gentlemen, because
Yeah.
this is an interesting topic and a very good topic, but I think we run our course for today
Yep.
on it.
Yep.
And maybe we just need a breather and rethink everything.
Yep.
This
Yeah.
was episode 7 of the Orcocast. I want to thank my beautiful co-hosts Lord Val Gaming and Bumbum. Join me and Lord Val at mixer.com. Join Bumbum in the comment section down below, where he never is. And you guys take care. Have a good time.
See you all, everyone.
Bye.
Bye bye.